Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's URC Round 14 review, a very interesting weekend, a bit of movement on the table as well, and some pretty big ramifications in terms of what the rest of the season holds, because there are not a lot of games left. We've got some catch-up games happening this weekend, but after that, we've only got 4 rounds left before we are into the playoffs. Round 15, 16, 17, 18, and then we're into the playoffs. So we're very much getting into the business end of competitions. And the nice thing as well is that this weekend there will be catch-up games, which means we will also be able to sort of see a better reflection of the log, because the likes of the Lions, Sharks, Glasgow, and Ulster have all played one game fewer. So that'll be caught up this weekend. So then the log will be a true reflection of where the entire sort of tournament currently stands at. Before we look at the results as well as the log, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. On the road to 23,500 subscribers. Please make sure that you're part of it. And we'll start by looking at some of the results, shall we? Now, first of all, we saw Ospreys, who have been on as team on the rise, really. I've been very impressed with what they've been doing lately, get absolutely hammered, unfortunately. And Munster just took them apart at Thorman Park. And yeah, the Ospreys, who currently now sit in 12th, their points difference, and we'll look at it when you get to the log, took a pretty big beating in this result. And a very interesting result as well. Glasgow Warriors beating Ulster 17 points to 11. Maybe not a result that was sort of supposed to happen, people predicted happening, but I really like this Glasgow Warriors side. I do think they're a side that when they pitch up, they can beat any side. And you know, they've got themselves up to sort of fourth place. So fourth versus third, well, now fourth, third. Those two, it was always going to be quite an interesting clash. And very, very impressed to see that Glasgow Warriors getting the business done at home. At the moment, if they can keep themselves in that spot, and they've got a game in hand as well, you know, at home, that home quarter final could be vital for their chances in the competitions. We then saw the Lions getting beaten by the Sharks with a bonus point. It was well played by the Sharks. Frustrating game for the Lions, who just pitched up for about 25 minutes and then kind of just gave up almost and got blown away by a Sharks side who didn't have to play at the best of their ability, but took their chances a lot better than the Lions did. A couple of some very nice individual moments and very good individual performances from the men from Durban, and people will be a lot more happy about what they saw. But I still think the Sharks side is sort of firing on limited cylinders. They were missing a lot of Springboks. You know, no Siakalisi, no Mapimpi, no Thomas Latoy, no Oxenchair, no Bongi Mbinambi, no Ibn Etzebeth, so no Klekanya. So we're missing plenty of players, which I think sort of shows you exactly where the Lions are at the moment, which is in a bit of a rut at the moment. Now, speaking of ruts, the Bulls, they're in trouble. They are genuinely in trouble because they could actually risk missing out on the playoffs if they keep playing like this. They're really not playing particularly good rugby at the moment. They're traveling really badly, and they've got away trips to come as well. And to have lost this game, 19 points, 23, they'll look at it as a big stuff up. You know, the Stormers, what a game from them, and defensively were absolutely tremendous. But the Bulls missed out on 4 points there, and a very important 4 points, which would have really kept them sort of in the driving seat, or at least made it themselves the master of their own fate with regards to the playoffs. An impressive victory for the Stormers, again, missing quite a few Springboks in key areas. And the Bulls missing the likes of Kane Moody, Kirk Lawrence. So we were missing two big players, but generally probably had enough firepower to get the job done. In front of what was a packed loft, it was really good to see that. We then saw Connacht beating Zebra Palmer. Good to see Zebra scoring some points, but Connacht just far too strong despite it being away. Scarlets hammering Edinburgh. Also, maybe a bit of a surprising result, especially sort of to the extent of it. Cardiff beating Bennett 30 points to 13, and then Leinster hammering the Dragons 43 to 14 to really keep that top spot to themselves. If we have a look at the log, this is how things stand at the moment. Leinster way ahead, as we kind of expect them to be. They've got a 12-point lead on the Stormers, but the Stormers got a lot of daylight between themselves and Ulster, and if Sharks can do them a favour and beat Ulster this weekend, that sort of daylight will remain. And I think the Stormers are pretty much, almost guaranteed that sort of home playoff. For me, what's just incredible is looking at this Leinster, table is they've not lost a game, they're not drawn a game. 14 from 14. This is their competition, and we know that last year it was a very big shock when the Bulls went and beat them at home. This year, I think they continue the favourites, and I think what we're really all hoping for is a Leinster Stormers final, to be perfectly honest, because these two have just been the best side by a country mile. Ulster in third place at the moment. Glasgow Warriors are making some ground up on them, and 1 point behind them. And again, these two teams, Glasgow Warriors playing an Australian Lions side, but Ulster have to come and take on the Sharks, which is going to be an interesting clash over there. So they've got Mustard fifth, a big opportunity for them with that big win. Their points difference as well, looking amazing at 116. We've then got the Bulls, and this is why I said the Bulls are a little bit in trouble here, because Sharks' game in hand would put them ahead of the Bulls. Bulls can slip down to 7th. They're 41 points. They've got a reasonable amount of space between themselves and Cardiff and Benetton. But again, you look at their schedule. They do have to travel away, and with 4 games left, if you don't get maximum points against, for example, if you slip up against like the Lions when they're playing the Lions coming up now, all of a sudden you could find yourself in a bit of trouble, because Cardiff go and get a bonus point victory in the same weekend where Bulls don't get any points, and all of a sudden they can be 2 points behind them. So it's nervous times for the Bulls. The Sharks need to win this game this weekend to try and put themselves more in contention. A bonus point win would put them in 43 points. A win would put them in 42. So both both the Sharks and the Bulls still very much competing to be in that top 8, but if things go badly, could fall out of it. The Lions pretty much out of contention. They needed to win with a bonus point this weekend to give themselves a half chance, and they didn't get a single point. They're down at the bottom there. Dragons, Zebra Palmer continue to sort of be the whipping boys. Quite a lot of, not too much of a gap actually. So I mean, there's anything between sort of 10 and 14, maybe not 10, but 11 and 14. 7 points between them. That could change still a little bit, but all these teams more or less out of contention. Well, not necessarily out of contention. I think Edinburgh, for example, should still find themselves, or can still find themselves in that sort of top 8. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And as I said, we get to the business end of the competition. This is how it sort of all looks. So it's still quite close in sort of that sort of playoff cutoff. Not playoff cutoff. Yeah, playoff cutoff, which gets you Champions Cup qualifications. At the top of the log, Stormers and Leinster have set the tone very much so, and everybody else sort of, it's basically their competition and then everybody else's competition. But let me know what you thought about this weekend. If you look at some of these results, which are the ones that shocked you? Which are the ones that really impressed you? And which are the ones which you think are really going to make a big difference come in a couple of weeks' time, or several weeks' time, when we do get to the playoffs? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching. I'll chat to you soon.